All right. Thanks everybody for showing
Hey
up.
man, welcome.
All right. Thanks everybody for showing up. I appreciate it. We are going to do something, basic. And that's we're going to look at a naked chart with, I'm going to leave the 9 on there because Jimmy has the 9 on there. And we're going to trade off of this. No indicators, no support resistance, no nothing. And show you what price action can tell you. And it goes along with trends because the market can only do basically three things in a simplified version. It can either trend up, trend down, or trend sideways. And hopefully after today, you can figure out which one is doing which one. My opinion, and this is just my opinion, this is something everybody should understand before you trade. This is the absolute basics of basics. So we're going to get started right here. And as you see, we're in a trend. We set a lower low, we set a lower high, we set a lower low, and based out. Now you can have your own rules. I'll tell you what my rules for a swing is. And that's two candles in the opposite direction. So in this uptrend, we got two red candles, so I'll count that as a swing. Here we were going up, we got two red candles, and I count it as a swing. And then going down is the same way. If we go over here real quick, we were going down. We got two green candles, so I count that as a swing. And that keeps me from counting stuff like this as swings. So it's just a rule that I have. It's a rule that I use, just from watching the charts. I have no real math back up to it, but that's what I use.
Hey OT, I got a quick question for you.
Yes, sir.
How are you defining swings? Just for those who might be just tuning in.
Defining like the two candles.
Like a swing, you mean like a swing high type of thing?
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
this would be a high.
Mm-hmm.
So if we started here, we really don't know what kind of swing it is. It's a high. We come down here, we got red candles. I got two green candles, so two candles in the opposite direction. So I count this as a swing low. So we come up here with red, we get two candles in the opposite direction. So I count this as a swing high. It's a lower high. You come down here and we based out. So this would be a support and resistance line, not a swing in the way I define it, because we did not get two candles in the opposite direction. So this we based out, and this is where we're going to start right there as our low. Now when you hit a swing right here, there is four technically things that can happen. So we came down, we set a lower low, we set a lower high. If we are trending, you expect a lower low. You can either come down, it's either going to set a higher low and break trend. It's going to come down and set a double bottom and continue up, which technically it's not breaking trend, or technically did in this case break trend, or it's going to come down and set a lower low, which is what you expected. And then the fourth option is it could come down here, set a bottom, come up here, set a top, come and just start trading sideways. So after every little peak, every little swing, those things can happen. So in this case, we're going to trade this uptrend. So we bounced off here. And then what we are expecting right here, we're expecting a lower high, right? Because we're trending down. This was the last support we had. Support becomes resistance, so I expected it, in this case, to probably swing down and continue down. But it didn't. So we continued up. What's our next target? Let's see if it double tops. Let's see if it double tops and come back down. It didn't. So now we're looking for a higher high, which we got right here. So we go back to that same scenario. What are we expecting? If this is a trend change, we're expecting it to set a higher low. So where are we expecting that higher low to come from? Right there, because that's our resistance all the way across through here that we are hoping becomes support. And that is what happened. Now let's go back to our breakthrough and retest. We did break through. A lot of people taking profits off of this run, which you could expect. That's a pretty big run. It broke through what we thought would be support, but the retest failed because of green candle. This retest failed, then it held. Right where we expected it to hold. And then the same process starts all over again. If this is a trend, we're expecting a higher high. And the reason, or a good reason you don't buy here, is because what? We could expect it to turn, we could expect it to double top, but we're expecting a higher high. But those are the options. And if you looked at here, once we broke this higher high, it broke through, it retested, just like it was supposed to. So we set the higher high. So we're expecting the same thing all over again. We're expecting a higher low, correct? Because we're in an uptrend. Were we expecting this higher low? Right where resistance becomes support. And that's where we got it. So now we're pretty confident in the uptrend here. So we're expecting a higher high, which we got. And we're expecting a higher low, right where resistance becomes support. So now this is our fourth higher high here. But this one looks different. And one of the things you can look for that this trend is running out of steam. See all the greens and a little bit of red. All the greens, a little bit of red. All the greens, a little bit of red. But now we're getting just as many reds as we're getting greens. We did set a higher low. It did break through. It did not retest. It failed. But right here would be one of Jimmy's famous red boxes. So you can, orange boxes, I'm sorry. So you see the orange box here. You see more red now than you see green. You know this is coming to an end. It's running out of steam. So if you're in these calls, this might be a good time to get out. We do set one more higher high, which it ended up being our daily high. We come down here and we double bottomed. We retested that high. And then the trend was broken. We set a lower low and we set a lower high. That should be lower high, but. So we saw it coming.
Make a little bowl or something?
We did set one more.
Huh?
I don't need a bowl.
And then we broke trend right here. So if you didn't see this and you didn't get out here or here, you definitely needed to get out here. We just set a lower low. We are no longer uptrending. So I want to cut these off and show you.
Real quick,
Yeah.
OT. I know Fib, you're back. I wanted to do a poll and ask if everybody understood the higher high, higher low uptrend. Did everybody get a good understanding of that? So Fib is putting before Fib is going to go ahead and put up yep, he's going to put up a poll. Do you guys understand the higher high, higher lows? All right, looks like everybody has a good understanding of that price action and how that is also the definition of an uptrend and and the trend line is just a visual representation of higher highs and higher lows. Is that right, OT?
Yes, sir. That's what I was going to turn on now. So you could have drawn a trend line just like this. If you were trend line trading, here was your first touch. Here was your third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh touch, however many you want to count. So if you wanted to get in here, you could have got out here when the trend line broke. And what I want to clarify, because I got a lot of questions about this, we just did the higher high, higher low all the way through. We know the trend did not break right here. We set a lower high and we set another higher high. So it would be okay to adjust this trend line. And the reason it's okay to adjust now, not if you're in a trade, obviously, but if you got out of that trade, you could adjust that trend line there because we are still uptrending. Now, do you want to adjust that trend like this? No, because we broke the trend. We're no longer uptrending. We set a higher low. So this would have been the only adjustment in this particular trend. And when it broke, we set the higher low. And now you could draw one trending this way because we're downtrending. You could leave it up. In this case, you see it broke, but look, it acted as resistance before we started coming down. And then I didn't draw it before, so we could start doing something like this. And the whole process starts all over again. Lower high, lower low, lower high. The lower low, I mean, it just dumped, but it set the lower low here, lower high, lower low, lower high. Same process all over again. Double topped. And guess what? Trend broke. So now we're trending in the other direction.
Real quick, would somebody mind sharing? I know Cammy's having a hard time with getting in. I know we got a few more people that just got in. Cammy, if you're able to see the screen, just give us a thumbs up. Let us know that you're in. All right. And while she's doing that, Fib, I wanted to, yeah, I see you're typing here. Wanted to do another poll. All three streams are full. Fib is sharing. Looks like we got an extra, someone extra sharing. Okay, Scales started sharing here.
And Mad Shiz,
Cool.
thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Tech Trader, appreciate it.
All right, thank you guys. Cammy, you should be good at this moment. Okay, I'll wait till later. Go ahead, continue, OT.
No, go ahead. This is, I mean, basically this was all I was going to go through.
Mm-hmm.
You could do, you can tell here like this would have been a line, probably one of Jimmy's lines. You could tell where the support and resistance is, but the key is, in my opinion, you have to understand this before you can do breakouts, before you can do retest, before you can do supply, demand, fibs, 920 crossover.
Hmm.
All that, in my opinion, comes second to really understanding basic price action. And then, of course, after that, we can narrow. We could start going into each individual candles, which I'm sure we'll do in later dates. But this is just basic. You have to understand this basic, how you can see
Can
this
you cut
without
off
doing anything.
old timer?
I'm sorry.
What was that? What was that, Mike?
I don't hear old timer at the moment.
I can hear. I can hear him.
That's weird.
I can't hear him either.
Well, that's weird.
Oh wow.
How can some people hear me and some people can't?
What Mike, what feed are you on? Whose screen are you watching?
Old timers.
Old
I am
timers.
Well,
So
I'm-
should I
I'm-
switch?
Go ahead.
I'll switch to somebody else, I guess, huh?
Well, I'm on old timers too, and it's weird. I can hear him.
That's really weird, man. Who else can't hear him, by the way? Just me and somebody else. I don't know who it was, but
Joker.
Old timer, can you give us a mic check? and
yeah.
see if
How about now? Can you hear me now? Are we okay?
Can you guys hear him?
Yeah, I can hear
Old timer, I could hear him fine.
That's weird.
Okay.
Nothing.
Those of you who can't hear him, try jumping into another stream. And
somebody
see-
do man.
Mhm.
Thanks, man.
We'll give everybody a minute or two,
Yep.
just to make sure everybody's good.
I can't hear him on these either.
Well, I'm not saying
Wonder if it's
nothing right
something to
now.
do with me and Mike.
I'm on
Yeah.
Fibs.
Me
I'm on
block?
Fibs sharing.
Okay. I'll just start talking a little bit, see if y'all can hear me. That's kind of weird.
That's so weird. I can't get into the other streams. I'll try Fibonacci's stream. Yeah, I got in now.
All right.
OT, can you talk?
Yeah. Dobbs want me to sing a song.
You
No,
hear me,
Dobbs, you
OT?
really don't see. I can hear you just fine.
Oh, now I hear you.
Okay.
Yeah. It's good. I went to Fibonacci's stream.
Just had
Maybe old timers was full and just giving problems to some people.
maybe it was. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Sometimes Discord can be acting up sometimes.
I was like,
so-
man, I practiced today for like over an hour recording. It better not have broke out on me. But I
Okay,
was
is everybody
saying,
good?
now that everybody here, you know, this is basic stuff that I think before anything, you should be able to see. I mean, obviously we're uptrending. I mean, people see that, but you could see understand where you might want to turn. Understand that when we set a higher high, you expected it. You expected it to pull back. And where did you expect it to pull back to?
Hey guys, just a gentle reminder, make sure that you have your mics muted so we're not hearing anything in the background, any sensitive things or any disturbances for anybody here who are trying to learn. Just
Can
make
you
sure-
hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yep, we can hear you just fine.
Are you sharing your screen right now, old timer? Just out of curiosity.
I am, but I'm pretty sure it's full.
Yeah, I was gonna say I can't get in it.
Mad Shitsu is sharing, Scales is sharing, Tech Trader and Fibonacci is sharing as well.
Ah, I get it.
Cool.
So when you see these, understand it's not going to run forever. So obviously it's going to pull back. Where do you want to pull back to? Support becomes resistance, just like Jimmy lines. So we set the higher high. You know it's going to pull back. Where is it going to pull back to? This is where you expect. Now, if it breaks this, then the trend broke. And before you could actually start seeing it come down, the trend broke. We're going to come down. When we start seeing more red candles than green, something's up. It's hit a price that everybody's happy with. The buyers make one more push. The seller said no, thank you.
Got a question here from Bugs. Can you show one more time, according to the high-low method and trendline method, where the exit should be for the runner? I don't think we got that far.
Okay, we're gonna make an assumption here. I mean, I just picked this because it was an uptrend from recent. But assume that this low was a Jimmy line and this high would have been a Jimmy line. You're still playing zone to zone.
Mhm.
You know, no matter what, we're always playing zone to zone. However, let's say Jimmy had a line here. And we'll put one here. So let's say he had a line here. So we set a higher high, we set a lower high. We're coming up. You could set, you should keep runners here. And why would you keep runners here? Because you're expecting the higher high. So you're coming down to support to becomes resistance. It bounced exactly where you thought it was going to bounce. So you keep your runner. And then heads back up. As soon as it broke here, because like I said, it could double top. It could set a lower high at any time now. So you're watching for that. But as soon as it broke here, you keep in your runner. You want it to pull back to here. If it pulls back less than here, and I count closes, not wicks. If it closed below where support became resistance, you cut your runner. But until it does, you keep running it, let it go, you hit his line. You hit his second line in this case. And that's how I do it. If there's, this is the line. We got in here. We come up to his first line. We are trending. We can see the trend. This is why the trend helps you. And this is before you'd even draw a line, probably. We set the lower high right, the higher low right where we expected it. It came up here. It retested and kept going. So I'm keeping a runner. It bounced. That runner, if we close below this, where this resistance becomes support, I'm out of the runner, but it bounced exactly where we expected it to bounce. Then we ran up. It bounced exactly where we expected it to bounce. And we ran up. And now I'm probably closing my runner out.
Got two more questions for you.
Mm-hmm.
Furious George asks, when buying on a trend line touch, do you have any specific rules for support and retest? I think we're going to cover that on the trend line. We're going to do entries and exits on the trend line, or is that something you want to cover here, OT? What are your thoughts?
I can go real quick, but yeah, that is something we're going to cover. We were going to cover today, but we got a lot of questions about specific price lines. So this would have been over here in the beginning. I like entering same rules as the break and retest, same rules that Jimmy teaches. There's the second test. The second touch. I'd like to enter on the third touch green candle because we are going up. Same thing he always tells us. Don't buy puts in a trend, in an uptrend. So whether you counted this as a touch, obviously we could draw it a little different, but, or this one for sure. So here I'm going, okay, I'm getting into a call right here at the break of this candle. If you want to get real aggressive, you could get in as soon as it started going up. But this one was red. It closed here and was red. And it was red all the way till it broke. So this would have been red until it broke back up here. So I'd wait for the break, wait for it to turn green. And I don't wait for a retest. As soon as it breaks that candle right there, I get in. And then you ride it till close below, which would have been up here. And then if you were in this trade, we broke out, you're fine. You can adjust if you wanted to, because we're still in an uptrend. And waited for a second touch, which you didn't get. It broke, used it as resistance, and then came on down.
Furious, does that answer your question? Just give us a thumbs up or. Okay, wait for the full class. Good. Cool.
Yeah, because we'll go over,
Mhm.
breaks and where you should set your stops and stuff like that.
Jesus is King asks, any suggestions on how not to fill up the charts with too many lines?
Are you talking about all these lines like this? If so, I don't draw these lines. You could just eyeball it.
Yeah, he's saying
You
yes,
know,
sir.
use your crosshairs. So you're coming up here. You know this is eventually somewhere. It's not going to go higher forever. It's going to come back. So as soon as it starts to roll over, and like I said, my rule is 2 candles in the opposite direction. So on this candle, I just use my crosshairs like this and go, okay, I need it to stop somewhere right here. So I don't actually draw. You could draw the line if you want, but I don't. So,
Jesus is King, does that answer your question?
so my chart would probably look something like this. As soon as I get this trend line out the way. So I know it's rolling over. I get the 2 candles here in the red. I know it's rolling over. I go immediately back down and look. I said, okay, this is why I wanted to hold. I want to close below here. I'm getting out of my position. And the same thing, we go up. I get 2 candles in the opposite direction. I'll come down here and say, okay, this is the where I'm hoping it will turn. If it doesn't, I get out. And I ride it all the way up.
Can I add something to what you're
Please,
saying here?
please.
Awesome. So OT's done a great job of covering higher lows and higher highs, and that being the definition of an uptrend. The second that we see a lower high and lower low, then you know that we've broken the trend and we're going into a downtrend at that moment. And so, with that being said, you often hear Jimmy say quite often, read the charts. What are the charts telling you, right? And so, if you're looking at the chart here and you're watching, the higher high and also the higher low, a higher high and a higher low on the uptrend, the chart is telling you that we're moving up, right? So in that first, I think it's around 11:20. If you can put your crosshairs over 11:20. Keep going, a little bit more to the left. That big red candle, big Twizzler right there. So that right there would have shaken out a lot of people in calls. All right. And understandably so. But what you would want to see, what you would want, depending on your entry, what would you want to look for? You would probably want to look for a break of this previous green candle. Right. Can you show that? Can you show the screen? There you go. That's what you want to look for. If you're in a call, we talked about that on Friday, just about confirmations to stay in your plays here and really understanding price action, right? So we had this huge green candle right there. We've seen that it bounced up from a good area of support, and that support was retested, 1, 2, 3, 4 candles later with that small green candle underneath the big Twizzler, or next to the big Twizzler rather. If it would have broke down below that area, then yeah, there would have definitely been some cause for concern. That's probably where you might want to put a stop loss a little bit down below that. But when we're talking about reading the charts and understanding price action, that's what we're talking about. Just looking at the candles, looking at the bars, being able to understand the possibilities. If we're going to go up, we're going to see a higher high. If we're going to continue to go up, I should also see a lower high. I should see a lower high if we continue to go up, right? these are the things that we're talking about here. So I just wanted to kind of do like a very high overview of what OT has been talking about here, and hopefully that does add a little bit of clarity to anybody who was curious about that. I rushed ask a question. Can you go over entry again? Why there looked bearish until it made a higher high because 3-4 candles. Because 3-4 candles couldn't take it lower. So iRush has a question about entries. OT, it's your discretion whether you want to cover it here.
We can. I picked this just to basically show price action. So I don't have support and resistance anywhere on here. There might not be an entrance in here. I was just showing you that you could tell that the trend broke. We were in a downtrend. And now we're in an uptrend. And you could tell because we broke that high right here. Then we set the lower high and lower low. So this was more price action. But I was looking at it. So we can assume. Let's assume Jimmy had a line here. So we had, even that was terrible. This cheat, put a Jimmy line right here. So we had your break. Here's your retest. And you could have entered right here on the break of this previous candle. You're above the high. So we're already setting a higher high. You know that after this big long run up, there's going to be a lot of people taking profits. So we're expecting it to roll over, but not reverse. And we're expecting it to bounce right here. So we broke. We retested on a green candle. We failed that retest. We failed that retest. We held like we should. And we keep going up. I would give this a little more leeway because of this big run up. If you notice, as the run ups get a little smaller, they nail. It nails this resistance becoming support. Come up and we nailed it right here. You just had a little bit more people taking profits right here than because of this run up. Now this was the break. So this was the start of the uptrend. So this is why I just marked this, because this is where, I have two opposite. So that's a swing. I have these green candles, two opposite. That's a swing. Then all of a sudden we go red, green, red, green, red, green. So we're setting a low right here. We're not swinging anymore, because if we were swinging, we'd have two green candles and then two red candles, and we'd kept going. So we quit. Right here, we quit this downtrend, at least temporarily. I'm not saying we couldn't have kept rolling over, but at least temporarily. So this is just what I use as a starting point to show the up and high lows and higher highs.
Got a question from, well, looks like Scales is good and iRush is good. Cool. Taxes Bill, you got it? You good on that question?
Okay.
He's good. Mm-hmm.
Yep, all good. Thank you.
Oh, you good?
Awesome. Okay.
The two in the opposite direction is just my rule I've come up with just from watching the charts. That's just the rule I've come up with. So I know this is a swing. That way you don't come in here going, oh, look, we got a green candle, a red candle. That's a swing. Nope. I don't have two reds in a row. I don't have two greens in a row. This is consolidation, not swinging. And it's just something I can look at the chart real quick and go, yep, that's a swing. Yep, that's a swing. Just a rule that I use personally. And it's a good way to see consolidation. We set a higher high, and all of a sudden we're not setting anything anymore. We're either going up, down, or sideways. So if we're not setting higher highs and we're not setting lower lows, we're going sideways.
Hey OT, can I highlight the chop on the left? Looks like a very
Here?
zoomed in 3-bar play over here, but that chop in there, yep, right in here. And so, in the same topic of price action, okay, and let's say we didn't have the rest of the chart. All right. OT, would you mind drawing an orange box around this, around that? Cool. All right, that's your orange box. All right, you guys should be able to see the on the right, the two blue numbers. Looks like it's what was that? Can you select that orange box one time? Just select it. So that is highlight. There you go. Yeah, it looks like you have, what is that, 426,
Yep.
0.96, and
And
then mhm.
and 426.71.
Mm-hmm. So, question for you guys is, again, looking at price action, when would be a good entry out of this box? I'm not saying which direction it would go, but when would be a good direction out of this box? When would be a good entry out of this box? Is that a confusing question for you guys? Matter of fact, let's see here.
Answer in the chat.
Yeah, you know what? Let me go ahead and do no entry. Okay. Yeah, I just want you to answer in the chat. That's cool. When it leaves the box, okay. Breaks the box with the SMA touch. After the top whip break, when it leaves the box, good entry would be leaving the box in any direction. Breakout and retest, ideally when it leaves the box and retests. Okay, retests from either direction. Buy over the wicks, retest of the box. Over the wicks. Okay, retest. Okay. And so for those of you guys who said, okay, you said retest of the SMA. Okay. For those of you, who said, a break out of the box in any direction, that would be right. That would be right. There's many answers though. Some of you guys said a retest of the SMA, and so we never really got that retest. We did bounce off of it out of the box. We came back down to it and then dropped below it. And so the retest of the SMA wouldn't have worked. But again, in the topic of price action, we see the price coming up into this orange box. We see this chop, this indecision, this consolidation happening right there. I wouldn't say indecision, but consolidation happening right now. And then you got a skadoosh. Then after that, what do we see? A break out of this box, right? So that break out of this box, for those of you guys who said a break out of the box, yes, that would be it. Even more conservative would be right above this first red wick in the box. Could you hover over that, OT? You wouldn't mind? That right there. All right. Right above that first red wick. Okay. Because we had a hard time getting over that point. So we can break above that. There's a good chance that we're going to continue. And we did for a little bit, and then we dropped down. But anyhow, this is one of the things, too conservative, waiting for a box retest. It could be very conservative. Absolutely. Sometimes you'll get it, sometimes you won't. So it just depends on the type of trader that you are. You have some traders who are very conservative and very risk averse, which is fine. Then you have other traders who are more aggressive, not to be confused with the gamblers. That's completely different. Hey, Rocket, would you mind muting your mic? I'm gonna have to mute him. Okay, so
Okay.
yeah, okay. So Scales, yeah, hopefully that answers your question. It may be too conservative to wait for a test in this case here. But ultimately that level right above Can you hover over that box, the top of that box there? Uh, we did eventually come back down and test that level as support much later. All right, above. If you go up to yeah, there you go, right there above the box. And if you guys look to the right, we had a hard time getting above that. See that red candle wicking up, right? Had a hard time getting above that, dropped all the way down, came above it, and then retested that level right above the box. And so, Scales, you would have been waiting for a bit, but that retest came much later. No worries, Rocket. You're good.
All right, sir, if I may, since you went down
got
this
it.
rabbit hole, let's assume this is a breakout. We'll assume this is a Jimmy line. We retested on the green candle and we got in. Now, how would you play this area right here? You're already in a call. You got in on the retest. It's going up. It went up. Now we're going sideways.
Okay, cool. Let's do this. Will be a great.
What is y'all's opinion now? You're already in a call.
Let's do a poll real quick. Fib, if you're able to do a poll, if you're in a call, green book if you would stay in, red book if you would get out in the orange box, hold or sell. There you go. Is that right? OT,
Mhm.
hold or sell. Okay. Green for hold, and red for sell. What would they do when they get into the orange box? Is that right?
Yes.
Oh,
You're already in a call. What would you do now?
I hope you don't mind. I'm eating and I can't respond, but you already know my answer.
Yes, sir.
Right. We got 10 people who would hold. We got 31 people who would sell. Thank you guys
Now,
for participating in the poll.
Yep. If you had one contract, then there's two ways you could play it. You could sell into strength up here when it started going sideways, or you could play it the exact same way. You just drew this orange box. So until it breaks this orange box, what's Jimmy say? Continuation, or consolidation, continuation. He tells us that all the time. Goes up. If we consolidate that more times than not all the time, it's going to continue in the same direction. Now, I know this is a little bit of because we don't have a target, but if you had one, you've been fine selling here. But holding through this, and you're right, Runner Rob, Theta, if this was 3 o'clock, heck no, I'm out. Theta would kill you. But you could hold through this until it broke back down. Until it broke out of that green box. That orange box. If you had multiple contracts, say 2, sell 1 and keep the runner until whatever the next green, I purposely didn't do it because if the line was here, then you hold it until you hit your target. You could take, what I said last week, you take profit here. Now it's not if you make money, it's how much. And you kept your runners to the top. If you had more, 4 contracts or 5, you can pick. Sell 3, keep 2, sell 4, keep 1. But you treat this the same way as you did in the first example. You drew the box. If it breaks below the box, you get out. If it breaks above the box, you just hold on to your runner till you hit your target.
I got a question for you, OT. Lachey did ask a good question, but I wanted to get your take on it. Is it best to trade the 1 or the 5-minute chart? What are your thoughts?
That is up to you and your risk tolerance. The 1 minute chart, the only difference between these strategies, breakout retest, the trend, any of that, the trend line trading, anything you're doing is if you're on a higher time frame, say the 5-minute or the 15-minute, you're just in the trade longer. The strategy doesn't change. It's just the length of time you're in the trade to make it work might change. So if you trade the 5-minute chart, you're fine. You just might be in it a little longer than I am. I'm going to get in and get out here. And I changed it to the 5-minute, but I know TradeView is going to mess everything up. I'll never find the spot I'm in. That to me is the only difference. If you trade the 5-minute, you're just in a little longer. Because the candles take a little longer to print, 5 minutes instead of 1. So this is 1040 right here. This would have been a huge 5-minute candle. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-minute candle. This one might have been a little more red than green. Then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would have been another green candle with a wick. So it's the same. You'd had the same result. You just in it a little longer. And again, depending on your emotions, sometimes it's easier on the 5-minute because you're not seeing all this. You're not seeing this consolidation. You might see 2 candles, one red, one green, one maybe a little red, and then one green all the way back up. Yeah, Texas Bell said, I mean, using, again, my definition, there's no 2 candles up. There's no 2 candles down. There's no swing in here at all. This is consolidation.
Hey, question. It's kind of an idea and a question.
Go ahead, Bob.
I try to keep like a screen that records contract prices throughout the day. Would it be helpful? So like when you're doing these, I could literally the difference between contract prices were on each candle as we go through these.
I watch contract prices, but not like that. So I don't honestly know. Golden, do you watch them that hard?
No, what I'm saying is I got them recorded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think what he's trying to say is, if I and check me if I'm wrong, Bobby, just pretty much hearing this chop, trying to understand what happened to the contract price in this chop and how it would have affected the trade.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, like just being able to point out like, what's happening in prices as we're putting this stuff on the charts.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I mean, this is like 1040 in the morning, so I doubt that data was hurting you too bad right here. I mean, obviously it hurts, but
Yeah.
I don't think you were getting killed right here. Like, if this was 3 o'clock, how bad it would have been on a 0 DTE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 0 DTE, 3 o'clock, forget about it. But to answer your question more succinctly, Bobby, I think the higher level thing here is just making sure people get the whole just price action. What are the candles telling you, right? What are the candles telling you? But I would love to see what you have recorded, and I think it could definitely serve us. Yeah, 100%.
So just to get an idea to wait, it might help out making this even better.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, Golden or OT.
Yes, sir.
Quick question. Anybody else losing the stream because I'm sharing Fib's screen and he lost connection?
Yeah, Fibs is gone.
Yeah, so I wonder if anybody else is losing it because I share off his.
Yeah, Jules said something about everything's full. But
Okay, let me.
I'm done with what I've got, and I do have it recorded. I mean, ask 100 questions if y'all got them, no problem. But yeah, if somebody who is actually hooked up to mine can share, since we lost. Oh, there, Fib's back now.
Mm-hmm. Fib is back.
So I'm going to stop the recording now. But like I said, if y'all got questions, just ask away.
Does anybody have any questions? Any questions about looking at the chart, what it's telling you? Understanding higher highs, higher lows, lower highs, lower lows?